You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Folks, my next guest believes that elected leaders need to be held to a higher standard before taking office, and that the requirement for elected office needs to be more structured and intentional. Plus, they must have a minimum level of education or training. Well, Mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi, joins me right now to discuss that and this, let's just say, this drama he's having with his own alderman there. Mayor Margo King, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
All right, so what's the drama in there in Mississippi?
I think this is just an issue across the country where we have elected officials that take office and really just not aware of the roles and responsibilities that we actually have when we take office. You see it happening now on the national level, it's happening on the state level, and it's definitely happening on the local level. The problem that I see with it is that local politics, the policies and ordinances and laws that we create are immediately impacting our communities, and it's creating a chaos. You know, we are asking people who've never ran a budget to run a budget. We're asking people to create laws and policies that govern communities and quality of life to actually write these things. These are people that, some of these people can't even read and write. And so what I've created was a task force to say we need to have a legislative literacy across the country to kind of hold elected officials accountable. All you have to do in order to be an
So basically training.
Training. And the bill that I wrote in Mississippi actually died in committee last year.
Well, wouldn't you need a constitutional change to do that? Right now, whatever the electoral requirements are to be a council member, a mayor, a governor at the state level.
To be a registered voter.
Okay, and if the drafters of the state constitution, for example, for Mississippi, wanted there to be more requirements, an education level or training, then wouldn't you need a constitutional change in order to implement that?
Absolutely. So what you see, what I drafted was Senate Bill 2417.
I've been looking at it.
Which is a bill that actually does that. And so we understand the program. And again,
to change the Constitution.
To change the Constitution. Actually, it isn't a change. It would be to implement a new policy, a new state law that actually helps to govern these types of things. We're failing our people. And if we have to do if I have to create a grassroots movement, which is what I do, to actually impact something, to hold us accountable, it would be helpful. Because you can't hold these elected leaders accountable for things if they don't know. And you're not giving them the tools in the toolbox or even requiring them to have it. So it's unfortunate that where we are and kind of how we're governing our organization.
Well, how much money would you have to put in the budget to do this type of training if the Senate bill passes?
So if you put this, a lot of people talk about funded versus unfunded mandates. This should be a requirement before you're elected into office. They already have structures in place, so I think this would actually help fund our public schools, our public universities, because Stennis Institute is for Mississippi. You have University of Georgia that does it for Georgia. So there's already a structure in place to do this. Only thing those structures have to do is tailor a curriculum for municipal elections.
Yeah, but I've read your bill, and I'm not sure your bill.
Okay. It's real simple. If you're the mayor, why can't you simply, if a new council is elected, you simply have council training?
You can try to do that, but my council voted against it, and councils across the country voted against it. It's just not.
So y'all don't have retreats?
No.
You can't, as a mayor, you can't call a retreat?
You can't call those retreats.
You can or cannot?
You cannot. Executive versus legislative. The legislative branch of government is responsible for spending money. Is their responsibility.
So you have a city council that when you want to retreat, they say no. You want training, they say no.
Yes. And essentially, that's not the mayor's job. That's not the city manager's job. You know, when you hire, and in the form of government that I have, I actually run the city. So I don't have the city manager, I don't have a CAO, so I actually run the city.
A strong form of mayoral government.
So it's still a weak mayor form of government, but I run the day-to-day operations.
Got it.
The legislative branch actually spends money and does the hiring and firing. So what happened is the problem.
What kind of requirements do you want them to have before they can take office?
I would like for organizations and colleges and universities to be able the Mississippi Municipal League is what governs ours. Every state has a league. So what I would like for leagues to do is to structure a curriculum that is mandated for elected officials to go through before they take office. And what I was willing to do just to help the bill was to say, look, let's do it after they take office and give them a certain amount of time. And if they don't do that requirement, then what happens is, okay, the city is not responsible for paying for training. The city can't use city resources to do that if you don't invest in getting training.
But one second. Final question, Eugene.
wouldn't it just make more sense just to replace them in the next election?
But you still have the same type of people that would be elected.
I mean,
so
you
no,
can handpick your folks that you're slating with.
I disagree.
Bring your own slate.
Bring
You
your
can
own
try to
slate.
bring a slate, but then you risk the chance of electing them, which is still, to me, a absence of actually educating the people.
But the people with the least amount of money and the least amount of education are of color, and
But
the
the
whole
other-
point of an elected form of government is that even if Eugene is, thick as 3 bricks, if I want Eugene to be
My
my
elected
council
official.
That's
elected
it. That's-
person,
that's
and there's
democracy.
nothing to say that he can't do a good job of it because he has socioeconomic issues or because he's a victim of discrimination like many other black
But
men
what
in
if these two
America.
idiots-
One second. Answer Money's
Yeah,
question.
what if he can't read?
Right.
What if he can't write?
Then-
I get it.
Actually, had that issue in Detroit where you had.
We had that issue with the president of the United States.
You had that. Okay, so well, look, we'll certainly see what happens with that and whether or not it passes. I do think we need to have people who know what the hell they're doing. But again, the problem is. You got people right now surveying who ain't never read the Constitution, and they actually
All right, this is-
they're
rich and white.
So,
This isn't just a
I
local
got you.
issue. It's
No.
a state and
It's a national issue.
okay.
100.
Mayor King, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, you heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion. Now, we know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically legal in the U.S., but it was, of course, made legal by the 2018 Farm Bill. Now, the folks at 420 Real Estate are giving our folks a great opportunity. And of course, their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And so what they have done for our Roland Martin Unfiltered family is allow you to make a minimum investment of $200. Originally, the minimum was $500, but now you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. All you got to do is go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game and to get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.